So I made the announcement, so no,
Yeah.
I haven't.
Uh, you talked about it last night, how it's time to
Mhm.
pass the baton.
Right.
How difficult of a decision was this for you to not run again?
It wasn't that difficult. I mean, it was, be honest with you, it was more difficult the last time I ran because I also contemplated um, uh, not running then, and it was a more difficult decision then. Not turned, I wouldn't say difficult, but uh, I was more hesitant in terms of saying I wasn't running. I just felt that I needed to do one more term.
I see. This time around, were there any, besides passing the baton and moving
Mhm.
on, were there any one or two deciding factors that there were the tipping points for you?
No, you have to remember that I never wanted to be mayor. So it wasn't my ambition to be mayor. So I'm not, my personality is not tied up in a position. And I just felt it was time. It was just time for me to, as I said in my statement, to move on. And I also fully recognize that the issues that I have a passion for and the things that I call myself working for are things that would not be resolved even if I did run for another term, because these are long-term issues. They're very core issues that need to be addressed, and they have their the collateral demonstration of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so it was just time for me to move on. Just time.
Mayor, it's interesting.
I just felt it was time.
I understand. You say you never wanted to be mayor. You were mayor for 16 years.
Yeah.
Some people will find that, yeah, kind of ironic. You say you never wanted to be mayor,
Mm,
yet you were mayor for 16 years. Could you
right.
explain that?
Well, I wind up places. Even when I ran for council, it was not my intent to be a elected official. Circumstances happen, and that's a story in and of itself. And I wound up being the person who ran, and I won. And then the same thing happened when I ran for council president. I was content representing Ward 5, but things came together in such a way I ran for council president. And then I was had enough time. I was going to run one more time for council, and then I would have won. And I was pretty certain to be council president again. My colleagues would have probably voted for me, and then I would have probably retired after that one more time because I'd have had my time in pretty much. Because I have about 13 years in the court system, and then I would have had that time. But things happened, and I wound up running for mayor, and I won. And so I spent 16 years working at it. When I wind up places, and because I'm a firm believer that you can look good sitting on the sidelines being a cynic and a critic and get a lot of amens, but you're not going to make a difference. Or you can get, if you really are that concerned about it and you really feel that strongly about it, you have to do something about it. And you have to get in there and make that difference. You have to put the work in. And because, so um, I did it.
Right.
And then
Let me
I,
ask you. Let me ask you
yes,
this: Have you enjoyed the job?
as long as I can get something done. It doesn't. The positions like this are positions that if you're just in it just to hold the position, and you're trying to navigate and maneuver in a way that you can stay where you are, that kind of stuff. It gets to be a very trying thing. It's very trying. There's those. For me, it's all about did I get something done? And it's not to say the work wasn't difficult and the challenges weren't difficult, and decisions weren't hard. It's not to say that, but if I got something done, if I got it done, then I'm fine. I'm fine, and that's why even today I'm fine. Even though going through the various crises that we've gone through, from my first term, the foreclosure crisis and predatory lending, to what we have now, the pandemic, and working through these things. Those are times when you have to make decisions. You have to step up. So as long as I can get stuff done, school reform, all those kind of things.
I want to come back to that. But you and I have had this. We've had it with many reporters over the years. Or as soon as you win election, you joke that the first question people ask you is, "Are you running again?" Well,
Right. That's
you're at
exactly
that
right.
point where you've said you're not going to run again. You said this was an easier decision for you
Right.
than in 2017. In your
Mhm.
mind, when did you know? When did you know
I
that you
don't know.
were again?
I don't know. I
A month
really,
ago, 2 months ago?
no, I can't tell you that. I really don't know. I don't sit around every day. I'm working. Even now, I'm doing this today with the various news outlets because out of respect and doing what I'm supposed to do as mayor. But I'm back to work. I'm working. And so but as the year went on, as I'm in my term and things are going on, I get a sense, I get a feel for it. So there's no one time where I can say at this time I made up my mind, or this incident caused me to decide, or I just can't say that. It's a feeling. It's a
Sure.
feeling, that it's time.
16 years in office, almost
Mhm.
16 years. What are you most proud of as mayor?
Uh, I got about 6 more months to get proud. you know,
As
I,
of right now,
I
is there any one thing, Mayor, that is, you've got 6 more months. Is there anything right now
yeah,
where you can say to yourself, I'm
no,
most proud of this?
I don't think that way, and I'm not trying to avoid it, because I'm not here to write an obituary, so to speak. I got work to do still, and I'm still going to work. And so I'm not in that mindset. And you have to understand how I function. If I get into that mindset and I go to looking at and reminiscing or having legacy or what, see, then my mind is completely different. And that's not a working mind. So I'm still in a working mind.
Well,
And so, but there are many things that we as a city have accomplished. For even from last week, the NFL draft. Now, I didn't do that on my own. There were many people who participated in that. I was just a cog in the wheel there. I just played my role. We did school reform. I played a more major role in that. We worked through. We're working through this pandemic. We balanced the budget in very difficult times. We didn't go bankrupt during the Great Recession. All these things. So I just keep moving I just keep moving, and so I don't have a time to kind of rank them. But I do know that there's ebbs and flows in this business, and there are times when things are going better than other times. But it's a city. It's a city. It's an urban center,
yeah.
and it's life. It's life.
As you said, you do have 6 months to go, but one of the things you talked about in your speech yesterday are the things that haunt you.
Right.
And you talked about the crime rate. You talked about, going to funerals, uh,
Mm.
things like that. And I'm not going to ask you at this point if there's anything you would do differently on that,
Mhm.
because as you said, you were still in office. You've got 6 months to go. Is there anything that we're going to expect from you in the next six
No.
months we have not seen
No.
previously when it comes to fighting
No.
crime in Cleveland?
No. Well, see, I think you may have missed the point on that. I wasn't talking about crime rate. See, that's the statistics.
Well, violence in the city, I think, is what. Am I
No,
correct?
no, I was talking about people.
Okay. What were you
I was
talking
talking, what haunts me is not the crime rate. Crime rate is what it is, and it's not good. unemployment is what it is not good. Racism is what it is not good. Those are statistics. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about individuals. I'm talking about what haunts me is because I see that individual. I've known that individual. I've interacted with that individual. Not all of them, but when I see that individual, it really it personifies all the others who are in a similar situation. And then what are the things, what is going on in our society that has manifested itself or caused this to happen? And so it's not an esoteric kind of thing to me, because it becomes personal to me because I actually know the person. I don't know all of them, but that thing that's going on in our general economic, social, and political systems, and the institutionalized inequities, disparities, classism, racism, all those kinds of things that produce these negative indicators in these statistics, you see, I actually see the impact of it. I see the impact of it. And I don't see it in an esoteric way or as a statistic. I see it personally because I know the person.
I
I've
understand.
gone to the funeral of the child and I'm not talking about one.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about one. And I don't have, if I may, since we're going to talk on
Yes, sir.
that level, so you better understand how I feel about this and how I think about it. You know, uh, I know people who do great things, but and they have great hearts, and without them, uh, we would be much further behind, and we wouldn't have the progress that we do have. But many times, people have the luxury of going home to another reality. And so they have also the luxury then of feeling good about the good work that they have done. And then they have the luxury of going home to another reality. Well, I don't have those luxuries. This stuff is painful to me, and it haunts me because I just don't see it. I live it. I know it. I feel it, and then I don't have the luxury of being able to go home to another reality. I go home to that reality, and so that's what I was talking about when I was saying those things. And so and that's what drove me to, regardless of how difficult the job was or how hard the decisions were or how challenging and the obstacles were and all of that, it meant nothing to me. I just dealt with it. I just grappled with it because it's my reality. And so that's what I meant by that.
I say, and I appreciate that personal take on that. So let me ask you from a policy standpoint.
Right.
Here, 6 months to go. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you can see you or your administration doing in the next 6 months to fight violent crime, to fight
Mm.
homicides in Cleveland that we have not seen?
Well, we can do some things, and politically, I can talk about how we've hired additional police officers, and we're trying to keep up and surpass attrition that we'll have about 3 or 4 classes starting this year. Some of them, most of them might graduate next year, but they'll start this year because it takes 6 to 7 months to have a complete class. I can talk about the strategic things we'll do in terms of deployment and all of that, and some of the tactical things that we'll do. I can talk about that kind of stuff. I can even talk about our trauma programs and how we're hiring up additional trauma coaches to work out of our rec center, our family resource recreation centers. See, I can talk about all those things, but those are things that we have been doing, and those are things that we are going to continue to do. And in some cases, we're going to put additional efforts into it, dollars into it. As some people talk about defunding police, I believe we should be funding police. But at the same time, I think we should fund those other things that people need in regards to initiatives around the impact of our system on negative impact of our system. But there is so much outside of the control of a mayor or council person, local officials, in terms of state and federal legislation and policies and agendas that play themselves out on a local level. And until such time as you have federal and state policy and legislation aligned with those efforts that we do on a local level, whether Democrat or Republican, you're not going to see much of a difference. You're going to see a lot of effort on behalf of local communities, local police chiefs, local mayors, local council people. You're going to see a lot of that. And it's like no matter what they do, it's going to be flying in the face of a hurricane. It's going to is almost you can't move the thing, and that's because we are the recipients of the playing out of federal and state policy and legislation
Well,
that is negative in terms of how no matter what we do, we're going to have a problem.
well, let me ask you this, because I know this is an incredibly personal issue to you, as you have said, and I asked you about the things that you are most proud of. And this is this is not an obituary. This is just looking back and looking ahead.
Mhm.
The fact that there is so much violence in Cleveland, the fact that the crime
Mhm.
rate has gone up, is that a disappointment to you as mayor?
Well, of course it is. I mean, it's a disappointment to me, if one person got robbed, if there was one carjacking, if one person was killed, or one young lady was sexually assaulted. All that's a huge disappointment to me. It bothers me. And I, as I say, I work at it because I know the victims of, and I also know the perpetrators of. So I work at this stuff. It's personal to me. Just because you don't see me expressing it or demonstrating it in a way that other elected officials would do, doesn't mean that I don't see it and feel it and know it. So yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm constantly disappointed in it because that's the lives of people. It's the lives of people, individuals, families, communities.
Mayor, what advice would you have for your successor if
Mhm.
someone were to come in and say, Mayor, you've been here for 16 years. What's the best piece of advice that you can give me?
Stay on your game. I mean, if you come into this game wanting to be mayor, or if you come into this game and using the position of mayor as a stepping stone, then you're going to fail. If you come to the game with the intent to do right by the people and to do right by the city, you're not going to get all the credit, and you're going to get criticized a lot for that, and many times by the people, very people you're trying to help. So if you don't come here looking for for praise. Come here to do the work. If you're not willing to do the work and put the work in, then you got the wrong job. If you're looking for just to be, I am the mayor, or you're looking to use this as a stepping stone, not only will you fail, you will be miserable in the job.
I know in 2017, and you alluded to it today, that you said that you ran because you did not like the field of candidates
Right.
who were in the race at that time. I'm going to guess that there is something you do like, the field of candidates running this time. So you can go ahead and tell me right now, who are you endorsing? in this
Well,
race?
what you can guess is that I have decided that my time is up. That's what you can guess.
Okay. Have you picked a candidate? Is there anyone that
No,
you are
no,
you're going
no,
to endorse at this point?
no. As you know, as I said last night, uh, when I announced I wasn't running, and the question was asked to me by a citizen, I told them that I was not endorsing at this point. That my recommendation to them was that they evaluate the people, and that they look at what they believe is needed for the next mayor. And one of the things the caller asked about was how do we manage crisis, and I told him that was a very good attribute, or a very good assessment of who you would look at for next mayor as one of the things you need to assess, because the crisis is coming. It's another one's going to come, and it won't be long, and it probably will be unexpected. And how someone deals with it is very important, because it determines whether or not you survive that moment and have a future, or you die that moment and have no future. So that's just one attribute.
Just
Another
one
attribute,
attribute. I was going to say,
right? That's just
any
one.
other qualities, Mayor? Any other qualities
Oh, well, you have to be honest.
Okay.
What do you just have to be honest
Mhm.
with the people? And I'm not talking about legally honest. I mean, if you're not if you're a criminal, you shouldn't be anything any damn way. But if I'm talking about honest with the people. You need to be honest with people, whether they like it or not. You need to be honest with them. And I can go on and say you also have to, in that honesty, you have to not deal with people as and communicate with them in a way that is in your political interest. That and just give them what politically is the most expedient thing, or better ingratiates yourself to them. You need to be honest with people and just tell people tell them the truth. And people won't like it all the time, but I guarantee you that at the end of the day, they'll appreciate it.
Is it safe to say, Mayor, that you like the field of candidates this time? I'm talking in general. The field of candidates this time, you like them better than you did in 2017.
I'm not going. I've answered the question. I said to you that my answer to that question is what I stated last night. I'm moving on.
Let's talk about the city. Let's talk about the city financially. A little external
Okay.
perspective. Near the beginning of the pandemic, and obviously there were concerns about the city's budget, and I know you've updated things since then.
Right.
If you would finish this statement for me as we speak today, financially, the state of the
Uh,
city is
stable, stable with conditions. Stable with conditions. The last stimulus dollars, I think we probably lost about $90 million last year because of the pandemic. But the stimulus from last year, it helped us with about 60 million of that. This year, we're we're stable, uh, and because of the monies that we will be receiving, and that will be for the next couple of years. Now we're evaluating what the cost of addressing the pandemic, which would be eligible cost. And we're also looking at if this money allows us to recover lost revenues, which we believe it will. So in that case, we're stable. But that only gets us past the moment for a year or two. What will really determine if, in fact, we have recovered, if our economy returns in a way that profits are made and people are employed, and hospitality industry recover, hotels are full, concerts, conventions, those kind of things post pandemic that will produce a continuing revenue stream. And then if I knew that for certain, I would tell you we are in a great position. I would tell you we're stable now because of the stimulus dollars and being in the managing of our budget the way we've done, we would be in great position if I was more guaranteed that our economy would recover and the continuing revenue stream from that prosperity would restore itself. Then we would be in a great position there.
So when you say stable, it sounds like you're optimistic. Is the guy in the hospital who had this heart attack? He's in stable condition.
Yeah,
Is
well,
well.
yeah, it's the reality of it. It's the reality of it. I'm not trying to give anything other than what you answer your question honestly, and that is that if we did not have the stimulus dollars, I could not tell you we were stable because we stimulus money is one-time expenditure. You expend it, is over with, and that allows us to be stable. If we did not have that one-time expenditure, we would not have any money to cover the cost of dealing with the pandemic and the loss of revenues associated with that. So we would be in bad shape.
Mhm.
Because we have the money, even though it's one-time money, we'll spend it once, we'll become stable. Whether or not we are will have be in good condition or great condition will depend on the recovery of the economy, so that we can have a continued revenue stream through the prosperity of our economy. That's just the way this works.
I've just got a few more minutes with you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick
Yeah.
questions. Just to kind of to follow up on that. In the next 6 months, in your next
Yes.
6 months in office, what is your biggest concern regarding the city of Cleveland?
I think, let me think about that. Right off the top of my, I don't want to just give you something off the top of my head, but I would say, um, what you just mentioned, we have $541 million that we've been granted by the federal government. And we're going through a process of how we're going to expend that money to uh, be stable financially with our budget, and then to invest in Cleveland and its neighborhoods and people, and also to invest it in a way that we can better guarantee the recovery that we need in order to for our budget to be in great condition. The failure for us to properly utilize those dollars in that context would be a great disaster for the city of Cleveland and this region. So I will be working with the council president and his leadership and council to talk about the stabilization of our budget through what we talk, as I mentioned to you, also the investment of those dollars in our neighborhood in order to help stabilize our neighborhoods and provide services to people, but also to provide those kind of incentives that would allow us to have a prosperous economy moving forward.
Mayor, what are you going to miss the most about being mayor of Cleveland?
People, just the people. As I said, even though many times the decisions and the challenges were difficult, those just that's just life. And sometimes, hard times is what we do, is what I've done. So so I just deal with that. But in the process of doing that, you run across people and people who are good people. They're just good people. They work hard. They care. And they love the city. They try to do the best they can for the people, regardless of who the people are. They have a genuine heart for those who suffer, and so that's basically what I miss. And ultimately, you haven't asked the question, but I will say to you, if I had when I said to the people last night that it's a relay, and whoever's running the next leg of this relay, they need to make sure that they run hard and run true. Uh, uh, I also want to say that in that context, that people should not go to sleep. They shouldn't go to sleep and just you have to stay vigilant
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're not out of the woods yet.
What are you going to miss the least, sir?
Managing bullshit.
Want to expound on that at all, or?
drama drama explains itself.
Okay.
Just managing BS, whatever the source and however it comes, right?
We heard the word several times, not mentioned by you, but some of the callers, the word retirement.
Yeah.
What's next for Frank Jackson when you leave office in January of 2022?
I don't know. I plan on doing nothing in January of 2022. Just doing nothing. It to me is a luxury to just do nothing and or to do something because you want to do it, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it, that kind of stuff. So I plan to do nothing for a while. That will probably last for a short period of time. And then from there, who knows? Just like I never planned, and in all honesty, Russ, I never planned to be here. I never thought I would be in this position of even talking to you or anyone else about retiring from mayor because I never thought or intended to be here. So I don't know where I'll be, but I'll be somewhere. And that'll be me. I'll be doing whatever I do there.
Can I say, Mayor, it
Yes,
is what it is, right?
it is what it is. Now, since you said that, let me expound because I don't want you to leave this on a note where people don't fully understand. One of the things I try to do hard is to have people understand what I mean because uh, uh, people, uh, others want to be my filter and interpret what I say. And in most cases, they're not accurate. And so when I say it is what it is, most people have interpreted that to mean that what the mayor's saying, he ain't nothing he can do about it. You know, he's just going with the flow. There's nothing he can do about it. That's not what I mean. And I've explained this, but it doesn't stick all the time. So I'm going to explain it again. And maybe it'll stick a little bit better now. And that is that when I say it is what it is, I have to live in reality no matter how painful it is. No matter how painful it is, the haunting. And I live that. I don't write dissertations on that. That's what I live. I have to live in reality, no matter how painful it is. Why? Because if I choose to live in an illusion of the way the world should be, I will make decisions in that world that will have not only a negative impact on reality, but make that reality worse for the people than it currently is. So that means that in order for me to impact that reality, I have to accept it. It is what it is, whether I like it or not. It is what it is. I have to accept that reality no matter how painful it is. Then I go and grapple with that. I grapple with what haunts me. I grapple with it. And when I grapple with it, I have the opportunity because I am the mayor, not because I wanted to be, because I've come to this job because to you, not to say I'm mayor, but to use the tool of being mayor to grapple with that reality. It's a tool to me. That's all it is. And so I'm using that tool and I'm grappling with that reality. And when I'm grappling with it, I can make some change in that world, that reality that makes life better for the individuals who live there. If I choose to live in an illusion that is more comfortable to me and is more acceptable to political life and more pleasing to the ears of the public, then I will make those kind of decisions that will generally be political decisions that will have no real positive impact on that reality or the people who live in that reality, which means I would have added burden to them rather than relieving burden to them. That is it. It is what it is.
Mayor Frank Jackson, as always, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thank
Congratulations to
you.
you. I'm sure we'll be speaking
Well,
over the next
right.
6 months.
Well, I'm trying to be active. I'm trying to be active. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mhm.
Thanks again, Mayor.
All right. I know hook up because you see.